Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this comes from The Guardian. Article is more than 3 years old. Guardian journalist, help me see a way out. Ex-cult member recalls. Former Children of God member says simple question put to her by Walter Schwartz was life-changing. Reporter Harriet Sherwood, dated July 7th, 2021. It was a simple question to a child, one routinely asked by adults. What do you want to be when you grow up? But for 11-year-old Bexy Cameron, who had never known anything but the strict religious cult she was born into, it was life-changing. I just want to add in here, it's still going on, and it's hardcore pedophile cult. It's a fact. So let's just get that out in the open. Her brief encounter with the Guardian journalist, Walter Schwartz, in the 1990s led to her escaping the Children of God cult at the age of 15. It's the same age that Daniela Mestenik left. She's got an interesting story. Leaving behind her parents, and siblings. Now she has written a memoir, Cult Following, about growing up in a movement founded by a controlling sexual pedophile. You know, we can dress it up in duck feathers. We can dress it up in a purple dress. We can put it up on a green dress. Sexual predator, in this case, means pedophile. The last line of her acknowledgments reads, "Eternal gratitude to Walter Schwartz, rest in peace, who knows what would have happened without that one simple question." Cameron, 38, it's about the age where people start breaking out of their abuse, trauma, and programming. Cameron, 38, and her 11 siblings, knew only a life dominated by Bible readings. Can you imagine it's still going on in real time? I guess in real time, the police officers or investigators cannot say statute of limitations has expired. Crazy. Dominated by Bible readings, exorcisms, physical and psychological punishment, and sex abuse. When Schwartz became the first journalist to be permitted access to the cult, Children of God had been founded in California in 1968 by the self-proclaimed prophet David Berg, who was known as Moses. Can you believe this? At its peak, Children of God had 10,000 adherents across the world who followed Berg's strict instructions. It was a highly sexualized and abusive environment. It was a pedophile environment. Women were sent out. No children. You see how they cleanse this stuff? You see how they put women were sent out? No, little girls were sent out to entice men. That's a fact. Let's go look it up. It's public record. Entice men into the cult. And daughters were sometimes forced to marry their fathers. Can you imagine, you guys? By the time Berg died in 1994, thank God, he was wanted for questioning by the FBI. Yeah, it's amazing how elusive they can be, right? They can't get L. Ron Hubbard. They can't find Berg. All these other cult leaders, like nobody's able to get to them. But we can fight wars, can't we? He was wanted for questioning by the FBI and Interpol over allegations of rape, incest, incarceration, and kidnapping. Sounds like the Diddy trial, but what do I know? Cute little girl. All the abuse she had to endure. Cameron remembers Schwartz's arrival at the commune in Leicestershire, I don't know how to say that, Leicestershire, where the family lived at the time, as a really big moment. The cult had decided to open the doors to reveal ourselves a little more. Can't imagine why they would have done that. Couldn't the feds have gotten in then? You guys, wouldn't that have been a great opportunity for the feds to get in there? But unknown to Walter, we children were trained for his visit to say certain things and not say other things. Just like the Scientology children. Cameron and her siblings and peers had no access to television, what does that sound like? Or newspapers, and never went to school. What does that sound like? Scientology? We had no idea what was going on in the outside world. Oh, like the WOG world? But we were told that the media was evil. Like suppressive people? And people were out to get us. Like suppressives or WOGs. Schwartz's stay at the commune came just after Cameron had ended a year of silence restriction, when she was forbidden from speaking to anyone except her assigned leader. So deal with these assigned leaders. Could that be a handler? I was excited that I'd been chosen to speak to Walter. I was completely intrigued by him. It's kind of grooming, to be honest. A little bit. He was tall and had white hair and a gentle manner. He looked us in the eye. He didn't ask any of the questions I'd been prepped for. Just this mundane, what do you want to be when you grow up? Boy, that's profound. You guys know I'm being sarcastic. It was the first time I'd ever thought about the concept of being grown up or becoming something. We were raised to believe that we were going to die in the end times wars. That we were going to be martyrs. Where have we heard that before? All these religions talking about martyrdom? Must be a coincidence, huh? So when he asked me that, it was an epiphany. It's the best way that I can describe it. All of a sudden, there was a crack in the wall, potentially an escape route. A few years later, Cameron took that route, but it was more than a decade before she reached the point where I needed to confront my past. In other words, the trauma. And the first thing I wanted to do was to track down the man who had started the change in me. She had no idea of the journalist's name, but knew he had worked for The Guardian. After digging around, she concluded that Schwartz, The Guardian's then-retired religious affairs correspondent, was likely to be her interviewer. Cameron in discussion with Walter Schwartz, photographed by the Manila Press. In an extraordinary twist, it turned out that a friend of hers was Schwartz's son. That's kind of weird. That's weird. Something weird about that. Cameron emailed Schwartz to say thank you for opening a door to another world. Within an hour, he had replied, inviting her to visit. It was a really wonderful experience to meet him again. I'm sorry, I have to bring this up. This is trauma bonding. But I mean, I'm thinking to myself, this guy could have rescued her. But it's a lot easier to say that than it is to do it. You know, it sounds like trauma bonding to me. But there were complicated emotions on both sides. Schwartz pressed her to write about her childhood and showed her his original article about the children of God. He was a bit upset as he'd written quite a positive piece based on what he'd seen during his visit. She kept in contact with Schwartz until his death, aged 88 in 2018. I spent many weekends at his home. They made me feel like part of the family. He was such an insightful, beautiful man, and he has a wonderful place in my heart. Cult Following My Escape in Return to the Children of God by Bexy Cameron. So I will leave the link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night, wherever you are. Peace.